So I needed to design a website. I needed to learn Flash actually to design a website for a friend of mine. So I went online and I Googled Learn Flash, and I found this business where for $30 I could gain unlimited access to all 600 of their courses. So I signed up. I learned Flash. I designed this guy's website, and by the time I was done, I was blown away by how brilliant and simple this business model was. At the same time, I'm teaching design technology at IIT, and we're reconsidering the digital design curriculum. And I observed a problem in architecture, and that problem is that architects are supposed to know all this design software, but nobody wants to teach us. Schools aren't really, they want to just really sort of focus on teaching design, and firms, they really don't have any time or money to train anybody. So we're supposed to know all this stuff, and we're sort of stuck and kind of have to learn on our own. So I thought, hey, what if I built a website kind of like that other one, but exclusively for architects? So I did. I built blackspectacles.com, and I thought it would take a month. That was 15 months ago, and we just went live this week. Thank you. And so, as you might imagine, we have sort of a lot to offer as it relates to technology and so on, but it's technology for designers. So I thought, how can we do something for designers in sort of a meaningful, authentic way? And right away I thought, we could do a design competition. Matt Dumich and I, we did one of those before. How easy, we could do that. And then I came across this website and this post written by Charles Holland entitled, "Dear Architects, please stop doing design competitions." It kind of stopped me in my tracks because he was right. Design competitions actually are really wasteful. And perhaps even worse is the fact that when you do a design competition, they create this vacuum. And this vacuum is, it totally omits all the messy, wonderful stuff that happens when you're trying to make something real. And maybe even worse, it affords the architect no responsibility to actually go find the design problem. So later, I was working with a design studio at UIC, and we were considering this problem of the architect and the developer. Many of you know that, for the most part, when developers show up in an architect's office, they pretty much have the whole project figured out, and they just sort of want us to make it pretty. And we were sort of working on this problem, and the question was, hey, wait a minute, we're these architects, we have all this training and knowledge about the city and finding sort of design problems. Why aren't we the ones that are out there looking for the design problems, sort of bringing them to developers or city officials or local groups and so on? We'd be able to have a much more meaningful sort of engagement with the built environment. And then I started hearing stories about architects who are actually doing that. Here's Tadao Ando. He sort of dreamt up this idea for a subterranean civic center in Osaka. He designed it, they built models for it, and then he went to the mayor's office every week trying to get it built. And then Bjarke Ingels in Copenhagen, apparently there was some politician who he was running on this platform of adding more mixed-use housing. And so unprovoked, Bjarke Ingels designs a mixed-use housing project and goes and tries to pitch it to this politician. And of course, Koolhaas, when they were promoting this book in the late 90s, they would start their presentation off with a graph that would show sort of the financial performance of their firm, suggesting there was so little work in architecture that the only way they could become profitable was to produce this book. And it was really this sort of design entrepreneurship that really started to inspire me. And I found the 99%, a project by Scott Belsky. The name came from Thomas Edison's quote, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." And what he does is he goes out and finds all these creative agencies who, they come up with brilliant ideas, but they consistently execute. So he goes, he interviews them, he figures out how it is that they're actually executing it. He basically compiles it, distills it in this book called Making Ideas Happen. And then he creates a conference that he invites some of these people to, and he films them and he creates a website. So it's this sort of design entrepreneurship that starts to get me really inspired. And it makes me think, maybe instead of doing a design competition, what if we did kind of like a anti-competition or like an uncompetition? Something that, instead of us coming up with a program and sort of forcing it on the design community. We look for architects and designers who, they've gone out into their community, they found a design problem, they solved it, and then they either figured out how to get it built, or they're working on how to get it built. And maybe instead of, sort of the conventional design the boards that we generally do, and sort of having them posted in some sort of gallery, what if we had them actually make video documentaries, and we brought those documentaries and sort of collected them and put them up on the web in an effort to really kind of try to inspire other architects and designers to take action in their own communities. So we did. We created the Uncompetition Project, and I got really lucky. My friend Matt Dumich, he introduced me to Alan Barker, who lent his help and the support of the Chicago Architectural Club to this project. And then it kind of snowballed from there. The School of the Art Institute of Chicago offered their help. AIA Chicago did as well. And that kind of set the table to create this really interesting jury of designers and design entrepreneurs in architecture and in other industries, from Zaha Hadid's office, Shop, Studio Gang, Crick and Sexton, IDEO, Strawn Serralta, Julia Hacker, and Behance. And so I'm really excited, and I'm, really proud about, what we've been able to build. But the Uncompetition Project isn't due until January 9th, so it's due in about a month. And I gotta admit, I can't wait to see the entries that we get, and hope that the stories that I shared with you tonight perhaps inspire you as they did me. Thank you.